Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries launched a $25 million Livelihoods and Resilience Project. Prime Minister Skerrit describes as malicious the opposition leader's suggestions that $1 billion in CBI funds is missing. And Dominica to be rededicated for the second time in 15 years this weekend. The details coming up.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
The Minister for Agriculture formally launched the Dominica Emergency Agricultural Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project on Friday. Following Hurricane Maria's impact on the agriculture and fisheries sector, totaling close to $500 million EC, Prime Minister Skerrit received $25 million in financial assistance from the World Bank for implementation of this Emergency Agricultural Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project. This project was developed by the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries technical staff and former Chief Technical Officer Colin Bully. It will be implemented over a 5-year period.
This project is designed to help farmers and fisher folks affected by Maria to restore their agriculture and fishing livelihoods and to adapt climate resilient practices. The project has 4 main components. Component 1 is the restoration of the productive base for recovery of the agricultural livelihood, with an amount of some $21 million, which translates to about 34 million EC dollars. Component B will deal with the restoration of the key productive infrastructure and institutional strengthening, livestock and forestry. $5.2 million is budgeted for that component of the program. The third component of the program includes the project management and the coordination to an amount of some $2.1 million, which is somewhere in the region of $5,600,000 EC dollars. And the fourth component would be a contingency emergency response of some $25 million. The government has established a project management unit within the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries to coordinate the day-to-day management and the execution of the project.
The project implementation unit is headed by Kevin Stevenson.
So far, the project implementation unit have employed contractors for the restoration of the trail. That's the Waitakuli National Trail. And they have sent out tenders for seeds and fertilizers and conducted technical training and capacity building for extension, livestock, and fisheries officers. A communication plan for education and awareness of the of the call for expressions of interest have been developed. With the support of the technical and extension staff of the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries, the Project Implementation Unit, the PIU, will continue to implement the following components of the project, which consist of: 1, the restoration of the productive base for recovery of agricultural livelihoods and eligible small and medium-sized crop farmers through the provision of essential package of inputs, mainly improved quality of seeds and fertilizers, tools, and material for replanting and restoration of crops. 2, the technical and advisory services and training to support the adoption of technological and the use of climate-smart practices for increasing diversification and climate resilience. 3, the restoration of livestock and fishing systems to reestablish the production capacity and livelihood of eligible livestock farmers and fisher folks. By providing support to livestock farmers to build a more sustainable and climate resilient sector through the construction of animal shelters and other infrastructure for poultry, rabbit, small ruminants, as well as beekeepers. And 4thly, providing support for eligible fisher folks to restore fish supply through the repairs and construction of boats and reconstruction or rehabilitation of building facilities.
Meanwhile, the $25 million agriculture project funded by the World Bank, the Emergency Agriculture Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project, is expected to transform the agriculture sector. This project is believed to be one of the largest investments in Dominica's agriculture in recent times. The project is expected to not only restore the productive base of farmers, fishermen and livestock producers, but the infrastructure of the Ministry of Agriculture itself.
It is indeed a great pleasure to launch this project today because we have been, over the last 10 months, doing a lot of works behind the scenes to be getting where we are here today. In that we have had to establish a PIU in terms of the staff necessary to implement the project. But at the end of the day, as the PS indicated, having $25 million to implement over 4.5 years is indeed a tremendous challenge and opportunity for restoring the sector. We are hoping at the end of the 4 years that will contribute significantly to the restoration of the sector and, more importantly, the restoration of livelihoods, because Dominica is still very much dependent on agriculture, as reflected by a contribution to GDP of over 18%. And not only contribution to GDP, but when you're talking about food security, we're talking about rural livelihoods. Agriculture still contributes over 40% of rural livelihoods in terms of rural employment. So the contribution of that project to restoring livelihoods is significant, to restoring our food security base, to ensuring that we have employment back in the rural communities, and more importantly, the restoration of our economic base, both in terms of supply of local production. We have significant opportunities with regards to supply in hotels, significant opportunities with regards to re-establishing our regional and international markets. So the intervention by the project is very timely and important.
Some of the ministry's key infrastructure will be restored under this project.
Some key infrastructure with regards to provision of planting materials, propagation centers, provision of extension services with regards to the regional offices, but not just the offices in terms of the structure, but in terms of equipment of the offices, in terms of modern technology, because one of the objectives of the ministry is that that project enhances the ministry for delivering service, particularly with regards to the information. And at the end of the project, we hope that we have an agricultural management information system that is not only giving us baseline information, but information that can allow us to make some forecasting, because we cannot talk about having a relationship with hotels if we're not able to be forecast as to what our production levels are. So at the end of the day, the project is not only looking at infrastructure, but institutional strengthening in terms of the necessary systems that are essential for having the ministry much more efficient. Then we have the project management, which is the PIU. All the PIU staff is in place. We only have outstanding to get an engineer and IT person, and we're hoping that that will be done very soon. So that's why we are at an important juncture here today to launch the project and to ensure that the beneficiaries that have been waiting for that assistance from after Hurricane Maria, we can start the process of starting to assist those farmers.
In other news, Prime Minister Skerrit has publicly denied suggestions by the opposition leader that $1 billion in CBI funds is unaccounted for. In the opposition leader's response to the 2019-2020 national budget using figures outlined in the official Gazette of March 14, 2019, he made what he says are assumptions and projections. His conclusion is that a significant amount of CBI money is missing or unaccounted for.
3,961 persons received passports of Dominica in the 5-month period, August to December of 2018. Remember, I asked you all whether you read the documents that come to you. I had a reason for that. Because our passports are being sold for $100,000 US each. But there are persons who get passports as part of a family package, for example, where the price to each member would average out at about $56.25 thousand US, not 100,000. And investors in hotel projects are required to pay $50,000 US per passport into the treasury. So we are going to assume that the average price paid for each of the 3,961 CBI passports sold between August and December of last year was not $100,000, but half of that, $50,000. Each of them. Multiply now. You have a calculator? 3,961 passports at US 50,000 per passport is equal to 198 million US dollars or 537.9 million EC dollars. Remember, the figure reported in these estimates or revenue for the whole year, not 5 months, the whole 12 months, the figure reported is $226 million. But we didn't sell passports for the 5 months alone. The figure they gave us, they're not for 5 months, for the whole year. So let us do the math. For the whole year, 5 months, 537 million. Full year, we prorate and we project $1,291 million. That is what the evidence suggests. $1,291 million. How did we end up with only 226 million, over $1 billion less? Where the money gone?
Speaking as a guest on Kyrie's Hang on Thursday, Prime Minister Skerrit refuted the opposition leader's suggestions of wrongdoing, saying the opposition leader's conclusions are misinformed and ill-advised.
That this allegation of a $1 billion missing is untrue. This is a blatant lie, and this is not the case in the Commonwealth of Dominica. This government has had a sterling record of being able to account to the people of Dominica its funds, and we can show and we can point to you how we have spent our resources. Yes. And this is why when the European Union, this is why when the World Bank, the IMF, the CDB, when these countries come to Dominica to do their independent audit of how we have spent their funds, they have always given us an excellent A grade in the manner in which we use our money. As a matter of fact, I will go on to say that in the Caribbean, Dominica is a model where all of these international financial institutions are concerned, and also countries are concerned. So we have been able to do so.
Mr. Skerrit says the opposition leader proves that he does not understand the procedures.
In the revenue, which is a projection, we only include government revenues. Here's something: we don't include the revenues that the port will generate. We don't include revenues that the DBS radio will generate. Yes. We do not include the revenues that the DUWASCO will generate, because while these are wholly owned by the state, they are governed by specific legislation, and they have given the authority to account to the taxpayers of this country by way of financial statements, which are all laid on the table at the end of their financial year, so that there can be scrutiny by the public of how these public institutions are managing their affairs on behalf of the people of Dominica. So in respect to the Citizenship by Investment Program, you only report government's revenue where the Citizenship by Investment Program is concerned. And I want to say to the people of Dominica that the CBI program is, in Dominica, is regulated by SRO number 37 of 2014. And there were subsequent related amendments, and so the regulations are made. I mean, in 2017, some amendments were made, and the regulations are made under Section 20 of the Commonwealth of Dominica Citizenship Act, Chapter 1, 10 of 1990, revised laws of Dominica.
There are other facets to the program, namely the direct monetary investment and real estate. Funds from the direct monetary investment or cash option goes directly to government and is presented to Parliament.
In respect to the government direct monetary investment, and we have an account called the Economic Development Fund. So all revenue, so the persons choose to invest either in the real estate or a direct government monetary fund, or they could invest in the housing program. Now, the funds, the investments in the direct monetary cash option, all of these funds come to government.
Okay.
So that is what government present an account to the Parliament, because these are government control funds. And from the real estate, you also receive some payments that also go into that particular fund.
Is that what would go into the consolidated fund?
That goes into the consolidated fund. And in every of those type of investments, you have special accounts. But those special accounts, the funds really remain in the consolidated fund, but you have this for accounting purposes, for greater transparency purposes. So monies from the European Union is in a special fund. Grant money we receive from governments and institutions go into a special fund. The World Bank funds will be in a special fund, so that you are better able to account for these funds and track how you utilize those funds and those funds going forward.
Mr. Skerritt has also sought to clear up any negative perceptions surrounding the use of citizenship to attract foreign direct investment.
We don't give to agents or developers a box or suitcase of blank passports. We don't sell passports under the Citizenship by Investment Program. What we do is that we utilize our citizenship as a tool to attract foreign direct investment and non-tax revenue into the country. Because I will say to Dominicans that there are many people who apply under the CBI program who never bothered to apply for a passport. Because for them, they are more interested in investing in a hotel that is branded internationally or locally. A success story, for example, like Jungle Bay.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So, and people who want to come for a holiday don't know, okay, when I go on a holiday, then I am spending money in an investment that I've got a return on from. So there are people who have applied for Dominican citizenship who have not gone on to apply for the passport. Because when you become a citizen, we don't just hand over to you a passport. You have to go through the same process of applying for the passport like I do, like any one of us do in Dominica.
Yes.
So you have to fill out the forms, it has to be signed, it has to be recommended, and you submit the form with your naturalization certificate and all the documents required by the immigration department to get your passport.
Yes.
So we don't give people passports to sell, and Mr. Linton is deliberate in his language because selling passports has a particular negative connotation to it, and therefore you will have a negative understanding of it. So selling passports. So we've never been selling passports. We use citizenship like other countries in the Caribbean as a tool to attract foreign direct investment. Because we all have to understand that foreign direct investment in the world, including the United States, there are certain risks that investors will not want to take. So you cushion the investors' risk by giving them that tool, that mechanism to attract investments.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
L'anisine tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nid pour yo ouais si la ni pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV, P ni TB aussi. Savent qui la ni guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur. Prends responsabilité ou. Aidez du bout de sime maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout le monde pour examiner corps yo.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. 4,000 farmers and fisherfolk will receive support from the newly launched Emergency Agriculture Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project. Those eligible for assistance include crop and livestock farmers, fisherfolks, as well as boat and canoe builders affected by Hurricane Maria across the country. The goal is to determine the support and intervention for which small, medium-sized and commercial farmers would qualify. Beneficiaries must submit expressions of interest in the project.
To be eligible, a crop farmer should be involved in farming either on a full-time or part-time basis, and crop production should be a major source of his income. And I would like to say that this time, public officers are included. All crop and livestock farmers, fisherfolks, fiberglass boat builders, and canoe builders must provide a form of legal identification. Crop and livestock farmers must show proof that they own the land or have legal documents of a lease for at least 3 years. Example, in the case of large estates or ideal land where farmers are cultivating crops or livestock, we want to ensure legal tenure exists for the use of the land. Fisherfolks must be registered with the Fisheries Division and be owners of at least a 15-foot boat or larger. Fiberglass boat and canoe builders must be documented producers of at least 10 boats or 5 canoes. The criteria for eligibility for crop farmers to include vegetable, banana, plantain, root crops, horticulture, and tree crop farmers are: 1, small farmers must own a 1/4 acre to 2 acres of land. Medium-sized farmers should own between 2 and 5 acres of land. And large farmers should own more than 5 acres of land or greenhouse minimum of 30 by 60 feet. Over 3,700 crop farmers will benefit under that program. This includes vegetable farmers, those with open fields and greenhouses, root crop farmers, banana farmers, plantain farmers, tree crop farmers, and horticulture farmers.
The leader of the opposition United Workers' Party has given the Financial Secretary Rosamond Edwards until Wednesday, August 14, to furnish him with information on the Citizenship by Investment program. This request stems from his concerns expressed in Parliament last week during his budget response. The opposition leader, who chairs the Public Accounts Committee, has said that he does not anticipate any difficulties in obtaining the requested data from the Financial Secretary. But Prime Minister Skerrit believes the opposition leader's statement suggesting that $1 billion in CBI funds have gone missing is malicious.
Estimates of revenue and expenditure, and where the CBI is concerned. Before we came to office, it was not a practice to submit to the Parliament as part of its estimates, the CBI. We have not only started to introduce it, we've also given it a distinct nomenclature in the estimate. So you can go to the estimates and look at the estimates and expenditure, and you could see which of the projects, which of the programs are identified to be financed by the Citizenship by Investment program. And when we submit supplementary appropriations to the Parliament, we don't say only that it comes to local funds, local revenue. We identify the CBI funds, where those funds came from the CBI, so that there's not only transparency, there's transparency at the highest level. There's nowhere in the Caribbean that level of transparency, nowhere in the world, I would say, that level of transparency is expressed. And of course and so what we have always done, and which is required by law, is that we only present to the Parliament central government's revenues and central government's expenditure. And this is why I indicated that you cannot put all of the funds that you generate from the CBI, because some of those funds go towards the construction of the hotels, and some of the funds go to the construction of the housing as per the regulations, as per the law, and as per agreements entered into between the government and the developers. So it is the government's portion of that and the funds that come from to the direct monetary fund that is captured in the estimates. And you will see, a decrease in the estimate in the project revenue, because you have more projects that are on stream in full gear, where the housing is concerned, where the hotels are concerned, and therefore you will see a drop in government revenue, because those funds that were originally, so the government's share of the market, if we put it that way, the central government's share of the market has reduced, and we knew that it's going to reduce. But at the end of the day, what do we have in Dominica? We have hotels. What do hotels do? They bring people to sleep in there, people to eat and drink, and they use our goods and services. They bring in money from outside, because only money from outside that can help you build a country. Yeah.
And the public has been invited to attend a ceremony for the rededication of Dominica on Sunday afternoon at 4 at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. The event is being organized by the Ministry of Ecclesiastical, Family and Gender Affairs in collaboration with faith-based organizations. A dedication event for Dominica was held 15 years ago. Since then, much has happened, and there have been repeated calls for the rededication of the country, especially in light of the hurricane season. The event is non-political and non-partisan. It's an invitation for all Dominicans to come together in a spirit of repentance and prayer for our beloved country. The theme of the ceremony is a call to repentance, to love and serve God.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries launched a $25 million Livelihoods and Resilience Project. Prime Minister Kerry describes as malicious opposition leaders' suggestions that $1 billion in CBI funds is missing, and Dominica to be rededicated for the second time in 15 years this weekend. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.